Welcome back to the podcast, man. This is episode number 19. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate the support. On today's episode, we're going to jump right into it, man. We have a question. Did the South save hip-hop? Do you agree or do you disagree with that statement? What are your thoughts?
So right off the top, I'm going to say yes, the South saved hip-hop. I feel like the South, like the Dirty South as they call it, doesn't get enough credit for their contributions in hip-hop from the early all the way up to 2025. Like when we have these conversations, even on the podcast, I think you and I talked about it, like we don't talk about the South enough. And I'm always screaming for like the South to get their due justice. Like when they had the Hip Hop 50 events in New York, and granted, like maybe because I do live in New York and, you know, obviously this is the birthplace of hip hop, like the museums, the exhibits, all the things, except for the concert for Hip Hop 50.
Right.
They had T.I. come out and like, I think Wayne performed too.
I think Lil Wayne performed too.
Yeah. But other than that, like kind of not really talked about, smoothed over, like just OutKast, like all these amazing artists that we got from the South that just weren't necessarily present or part of the conversation. And so I am here today to raise the flag and be like, hey, listen, niggas, like the South got something to say. Shout out to OutKast. But you know, I just feel like, and I'm y'all know I'm not even from like I'm from Chicago. I'm not from the South, but I do feel like without the South, like I really don't know. I don't think hip hop would be the same without the South. Like
I agree with that.
2001, like I don't know, the South been running it to me.
Yeah. To piggyback off what you said, I kind of agree with that. You know, I think the South. A lot of people give the South a lot of flack. You know, they try to say they ruin hip hop or they're not lyricists or the pure lyricists outside of, you know, guys like OutKast and, you know, people like that, Scarface and Wayne and stuff like that. But if you really look at the data and look at what's been running hip hop over the last 25 years, it's definitely been the South, especially Atlanta. Like, I don't even think it's an argument.
Yes.
You know, New York did its thing, they came through, but what the South been doing, I think it really saved hip hop. I think it kept the attention where it needed to be. So shout out to Atlanta for doing that. And then Lil Wayne, the Lil Wayne Cash Money era in the early 2000s.
Master P, what he was doing,
Master
like
P in the 90s and Cash Money in the 90s and stuff like that. So the South definitely deserve is just due. And like my man Andre 3000 said at the 95 Source Awards, the South got something to say.
Exactly. It's just one of those things that I feel like, you know, if you take it back to like the history, right? Like you got Rap a Lot and Ghetto Boys, you got Two Live Crew from Miami in the 90s. Like that was a time, that was when music was fun. They introduced like a new sound into the mainstream culture. I think what Miami introduced from the South for hip hop, Atlanta like really took that infrastructure, invested in it, and like really made it, you know, like a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like when T.I. came on the scene, when, you know, Jeezy came, like, listen, that was hip, you know what I'm saying? Like that was what was playing on radio at the time. Not to say that mainstream really defines hip hop, of course, because that's like the anti-hip hop. It's like not mainstream. But I mean, when it comes to like going outside at the clubs, party music, that's why I said hip hop, you know, the South saved hip hop, because I think the South made hip hop fun. Like without it, it's like it would be just too rugged, too, you know what I'm saying, too hurt. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like it's just one of those things that's you know, just even thinking about the franchise boys. Now, I think that's where you kind of get into the territory of like, listen, the South ruined hip hop, like no lyricism, like all that kind of stuff. But think about Goody Mob, like 90s, lyrical, OutKast, lyrical,
lyrical,
T.I., lyrical. So I don't agree with the sentiment.
Yeah,
exactly. Ludacris is an amazing example when we talked about Made You Look of how he killed that record, kept up with the quote unquote lyricist of, you know, the East Coast of New York, and really just showed like what the South was about. But OutKast did it before Ludacris. Like,
OutKast laid that blueprint.
Yeah, like, so I don't know. That's just my take. I'm always here to like celebrate the undercelebrated, and to me, the South needs to have like their own dedicated, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
proper celebration. Give the South their flowers for what they've done for hip hop. And I just hate that we don't celebrate it as like a culture for real.
Yeah, I agree. Until this day, like you said, because the South the whole South, like if you just think about it, different regions, different cities, like
Right,
Houston, you know, like you mentioned, you got the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, and Rap a Lot, Jay Prince, and
right,
all those guys, Devin the Dude, all those people, you know, that came out
right,
of Houston, you know, repping the South. Then you got New Orleans, you got Cash Money, you got Cash,
right.
No Limit, those guys, and what they
Right.
did,
Mixtape era, you know what I'm saying? Like, not to say that New York and all them guys didn't have, mixtapes, but when I think about, like, what Wayne did with Dedication, like, man, and Jeezy, like, all Gucci,
Gucci
mixtape era.
Cake.
Like, just creating a culture for real, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like, the South really created a culture that was necessary in hip hop.
agree with
I
that.
think the West Coast had, brought that element of, like, fun and all the
Yeah, they
things,
did. Yeah,
but
you gotta give it to the West Coast.
what the South, I think, had is community
Yeah,
versus where other, West Coast, East Coast, like, it was kinda more divided. I feel like the South had a lot more unity and they
they come
worked
to yeah.
together, you know what I'm saying? Like, they kinda seem to have more of a partnership with one another,
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, and
concerning
they always
music.
got credit for that. It seemed like, you know, Atlanta, they jump on each other's stuff. It seemed like they work together.
Exactly.
You know, it seemed like they knew they had to because people weren't respecting the South, man. They weren't respecting, they call them, you know, Bamas and, you know, the whack, they can't
Right,
rhyme, they, you know, they songs is bullshit. Nobody want to hear that. And I think it was till, you know, like people like OutKast when they came through and
right.
told them like, yo, we are serious with this. We need to be looked
Yeah,
at and paid attention. Then, you know, like with Memphis, you know, 3 6 Mafia, 8 Ball MJG, Swab House,
right.
that era of the South in the and coming up. So the South is definitely a
Yes.
big picture in hip hop. So if I think hip hop would not be the same if it wasn't for the South. If
Nah.
we shout out to Jay-Z and Nas and all those guys, Wu-Tang, but if the South wouldn't have dominated like it did, I think hip
Yeah.
hop probably would be extinct right now without the South. I hate to say it, and I know
I
y'all
mean,
East
that's a
Coast
hot
hip hop
take for
heads don't
sure.
want to hear
I
that.
don't know about it extinct,
You don't think
but
so?
you know what it is? It's because I think for me, or from my perspective, it's the fact when I say they made hip hop fun, a part of
Right.
the music, they made it like marketable. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like they made it digestible and palatable to like the mainstream because it wasn't so like not that it wasn't so raunchy, but it wasn't so gutted. Like you could play it a song from So So Def on the radio.
Right,
Like
right, right.
their music was just fun and you dance to it, stuff like that. So when you have music like that, sound like that in general is gonna, attract more people and become more mainstream. I
Yeah.
even think about the production that comes out of the South. Like we talk about Timbaland, we talk about Missy, we talk about Pharrell. Like they from Virginia,
Manny Fresh.
which is the South.
Yep.
Manny Fresh, exactly. Like we wouldn't have a lot of the most iconic beats that we have today without the influence of some of the greatest producers in the South.
That is
I
true.
just, I have to just say, I do think that the South, and it's interesting because it's like, well, from a lyrical standpoint, sure, maybe the South doesn't have as many lyricists as maybe like the East Coast does, but like when you really comb through the artists that's out here, you think about Big Crit, lyrical, right?
Lyrical.
Like J. Cole,
J.
lyrical.
Cole, Monster,
Yeah, again, Imma keep mentioning
Rhapsody.
Andre 3 Stacks since he's, like, one of the top 3 to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Old Wayne, old Lil Wayne, Scarface,
Exactly, exactly, like,
Ruler,
I
UGK.
think
Can't
that
forget
all
about
of those.
UGK.
Yes, exactly, UGK. I genuinely Bun B, I
That's
genuinely
my
think
nigga.
that those guys are, like, actually lyrical. I really don't know why people felt like hip hop couldn't be Southern. It seems to be like this distinction of, like, dirty South and hip hop music, and it's like, it really is it should be a part of it in a way, but
Yeah,
hip hop is a gate kept genre thing. Well, it
yeah.
used to be. It used to be, but now not so much.
Oh,
But
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And like I said, the South just iconic. Can't forget, like I said, Outkast, Big Boy, you know, which I think is super slept on as far as the lyrics because Andre 3000 gets all the credit.
right,
But Big Boy was nothing to sneeze at as well. Go back and listen to those OutKast albums
yeah.
for anybody that's wondering, which they are being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame later.
Hey, can we get some air horns for
Yeah,
that? Because
yeah,
it's fire.
yeah. Shout out to Dill. Shout out to Dill. Shout out to OutKast, man. In
Eh,
there. But like I said, the South is just the South is what it is, man. You know, like I said, Miami, you got Rick Ross, you got Trina, Trick Daddy, JT Money, that
Yes.
whole, you know, DJ Khaled, what he has done. He's from, you know, I think
Miami, yeah.
I think he originally from New Orleans or somewhere they said.
Oh,
Then he
is it
moved.
New Orleans? I thought it
Yeah,
was, I don't know, I thought it was Florida.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that, but still, you know, he repping the South and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it just, like I said, they got
Okay.
to pay homage. Do you have a top 5 rappers from the South?
So I'm gonna go with again, Andre 3000
Oh
is
yeah,
top 3, like one of my top 3
I agree.
lyricists. Big Crit is up there. Lil Wayne is definitely up there. I don't know if I would put Scarface
Come on, you
up
got to
there.
put it. You ain't. I got Face on my list though.
Yeah, I'm thinking for sure. Ludacris, I'm thinking of like lyricists, right? Like
J Cole.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I got J. Cole up there. I got
You
J.
got J
Cole, I
Cole.
got Crit, I got Wayne, I got Andre.
Need one more.
Who who is my wild card from the South?
Uh,
Jeezy. Maybe T. I mean, maybe T.
Ti. Okay, that's a good list. That's a good starting 5. That's good. That's a good starting 5 that
That's what
you will
I'm
take the
thinking.
war with you. I think I'll piggyback. You got pretty much all the same that ones that I got. I got Scarface on there. I got Andre 3000, J Cole, Wayne,
Right, right.
and it's a toss up between Luda and Ti. But I'm gonna give my man Ludacris the edge on
Think
that.
about the
Ludacris is a monster,
creativity.
man. Yeah, the
Right. Like, think
creativity.
about the creativity that Ludacris and
Yeah,
OutKast brought to like hip hop with the visuals and all the
yeah, the
things.
visuals.
Like,
Yeah,
come on, man. Who was doing it like that?
nobody
I
wasn't doing
mean,
it
but
like
you
that.
got Busta Rhymes, like, okay, you
Oh
got
yeah,
you
yeah,
got a
you know,
few people, who brought a sense of creativity to the
but
scene, but I think the South challenged the East Coast with that. Even from a business perspective, like I think about Master P and what he was
mm,
doing, with No Limit. It's like Jay-Z kind of like gleaned from that, I think.
yeah,
That mindset, that ideology of
yeah,
just
I
like
agree with
have
it.
your own, get money, be a businessman, like,
I agree.
you know?
Yeah, and
Master P was doing that.
yeah, like I said, and Master P said it. He said he learned the game from the Bay Area, the independent game. He brought it back to New Orleans, when he dropped No Limit and everything like that. But I don't think
Mhm.
nobody hustle like the niggas from the South though, man.
Right,
A Prince, what he did with Rap A Lot Records, like the independent hustle. Birdman and Slim, what
right,
he did with Cash Money, No Limit.
right.
Master P, what he did with No Limit. He learned the game from the Bay, came back. A few other cats, Suave House. It's just a lot of like the South was real hustlers, man, because they had to be because a lot of
Right.
record labels wouldn't sign them, so they had to sell out of the trunk of their car and go to
Mhm.
different flea markets and different things. And I know the West Coast did it too, especially people like Easy E and and
Yeah.
like I said, the Bay Area. They definitely some hustlers, but I think as a collective, they nobody hustle like them do and on the business level. Because Snoop even said that when he went to No Limit, he never saw no money like that. He said Master P
Yeah.
really had real money. Like
Right,
he was really
right,
doing it big, and he taught him the game. Like he taught him the
right,
hustle and stuff. So the dude,
right.
like I said, shout out to the South as far as business is concerned. Boys was about their business, and they still is till this day.
Yes, I think so. I think you saw the resurgence of like East Coast hip hop and like Pop Smoke and, Came and I don't know, maybe a few others.
Yeah,
Cardi,
Griselda.
right, Griselda. Like really, when I think about like East Coast hip hop today, that's like for me relevant and dope and like kind of brings back that style, I have to acknowledge Griselda, right?
Yeah,
Like they've been running it for the last 5 or so years for real.
right.
But shout out to West Side. But everything else, no.
Yeah,
I would argue that maybe hip hop maybe focuses now because it has become so mainstream. Maybe the genre itself focuses more on like numbers and, maybe
yeah,
too much fun, like too much just like, commercial rap,
yeah,
which is the flip side of the coin. But at the same time, it's like if you think about again, our conversations are usually centered around pure hip hop, like lyricists, dope beats, dope raps, like all the things.
right.
I think the South needs to be a part of that conversation.
I
It's
definitely
just,
that.
yeah,
I definitely agree with that. Like, like I said, producers Jermaine Dupri, Ninth Wonder, like all these guys coming out of the South. And then what's happening lately in hip hop, like the clips. The Clips, what they
Right,
did, they
exactly, think
album
of
that they dropped,
right, exactly. Can I
you
share
know?
my top 5? I forgot. How could I forget? What are we talking about? Like,
You gonna put
Malice
Pussy
and
in there?
Pusha
Malice?
top 5? Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, Scarface gotta get up out of here. Like, what we
well, no, you can't remove Face now. Scarface is the godfather, in my opinion, of Southern rap. And what he did, he got a new episode on Shannon Sharp podcast, Club Shay Shay.
that's
It's dope. It's dope, man. He
yeah, I
had
gotta watch that.
Scarface on there. So I advise anybody check it out. He'll going over some of his classic songs and stuff and doing,
Okay.
explaining the meaning behind them and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, Scarface. But yeah, back to Clips, JID, Jid, what he did, what he's doing, his album is incredible. So the South, you know, it's amazing what's going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, think about groups. I think, yeah, some of it became too mainstream. I think about the Migos. I think about
Yeah,
them franchise boys. I think about Young Jock. Like, I do think about some of the music that, again, may be
yeah, no matter
a
what you think
little
about it, they still held it down and contribute to it. They made you dance.
that
They
point.
made you something to ride to.
And I think that's the problem people have when it comes to hip hop, which I don't understand why. But I mean, people probably just think that it's just too much of a good time. Like niggas just is supposed to be like sitting on a corner like rapping
Yeah,
about
yeah,
hustling
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time, which is cool. But as we know, as black people, like dancing and having a good time is a way for us to escape, our day-to-day troubles. So,
yeah. It's
there is a
important.
space for that,
Yeah,
within hip hop. Like I said, and I think the West Coast kind of brought that as well, like that sense of just fun and being able
yeah,
to live life. Even behind the scenes, how many artists moved to Atlanta? Like the infrastructure that's in Atlanta itself for hip hop and the investment and like all the money that's there. Like you couldn't have the money in hip hop if you didn't have Atlanta.
yeah, yeah.
Like
You
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 probably
run
just
through
couldn't.
Atlanta. Drake ran to Atlanta, man, to
Yeah,
get his swag to stay on, man. That right there
exactly.
lets you know Atlanta is a hotbed for hip hop and for music, and it's gonna
It
stay that
is.
way. And I know a lot of these pure hip hop heads don't want to admit that, but it is
Yeah,
what it is, and
yeah.
you know, got to
I
deal
mean,
with it.
it's okay. Exactly. And that's why we're going to talk about it on Rapology because, it's an important conversation to have. And, even as we have these episodes going forward, I hope that we have more conversations about like Southern artists and
Yeah,
top Southern, rap songs and everything like that and producers. Like I said, Missy, Timbaland, all these, the clips, like all these really phenomenal artists that if it
great.
wasn't for the South bringing these people, we wouldn't have what we have.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Hip hop wouldn't be the same, man. And like I said, you can look at Memphis movement, Yo Gotti, and all those guys, Glorilla,
Right.
and what they doing. And I already gave a
Would
shout
you
out
not
to
consider
3
that so I think sometimes people don't consider that hip hop.
Yeah, I guess, but they still rhyming words, so I guess it still falls in the category of something.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say it need to some of that music need to have its own sub category, sub genre, but it
Well,
is.
I think that's why they're trying to call it, like, the dirty South.
Exactly.
It's like, back in like, I think it was, like, back in the early 2000s,
Yeah,
90s,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
dirty South became, like, a
Mhm.
term that they would
Yeah, it
use
did.
to
It did.
differentiate, but no.
Yeah.
Like, I agree, like, it probably is all still hip hop, but,
Yeah, the South, like I said, the South did what they did. I know a lot of people don't like a lot of the music,
but they
but
do, though, I think people be lying.
yeah,
I think people really do like this music. I'm saying this as a DJ who spins music every weekend.
right.
Niggas love the South for real. Even in New York, like,
What kind of
for real,
response you be
people,
getting? You be getting when you be spinning some of them Southern records and
they
stuff like that.
love
They
it.
love it.
They with me. Like, I'm
They
spinning
love it.
OutKast. I was just playing Me and You the other day. Like,
Mm.
at the Afterburner set, and it was like people was singing along, So, nah,
Yeah, because they kept the
people
South
love
out
it.
for a long time, man. They
They
weren't
love
really being
Jeezy. They
able.
love
Yeah,
T.I.
yeah.
You put on What You Know by T.I.
Oh yeah,
and
go
you're
crazy.
gonna sing it. Like, you're gonna like, I don't care where you from. Like, you gonna bob your head to it. So I think people just are weird sometimes about like I said, it's only a hip hop. Like, it's only in our genre and our culture.
Right.
That's like we just don't want to give credit where it's due, but that is a common thing in hip hop. But
Yeah, they don't, you gotta
yeah.
give credit. And like some of the lesser known, like, or people don't talk about it enough, I think is very underrated. Out of North Carolina, Little Brother,
Yes,
91 of
egg,
these
talk
guys,
about it.
man. Yo, dope, lyrical, Pooh
Talk
and
about it.
Fontaine and what they do, man, is just amazing, incredible. So yeah, a lot of people just don't want to hear it because they you know, they might like it, so they rather just
Yeah.
close it out.
Yeah.
But you have to give them some of the credit. And I'm not gonna say I like everything that come out this album. I'm not trying to say that, but
No.
it's definitely left an impact. Pastor Troy, of course, one of the
Listen.
yeah, got to shout out Pastor Troy as well. And
Absolutely.
it's a few people I know we missing as well, but
I was about to say Arrested Development,
yeah,
like Hot
exactly.
Boys. You got UGK. We talked about Live 36 Mafia. Like you got
Yep.
all these artists
8 Ball
that
MJG.
right. Tell me International Players Anthem is in the top,
Mm.
10 hip hop song
It's the greatest love
ever.
song ever.
Exactly.
That's what I
Everybody's
call it.
playing it at their wedding.
Yep.
Like, yeah, nah.
The South, they came through. They did their
They
thing. They left their
carried
mark.
that's
They
why I'm
carry it.
saying they
Carry hip
probably
hop.
have carried hip hop for the last 20 plus years. But
They have.
people are not really ready to hear that
They
because
don't want to hear that. They know it's true. They come, somebody come in and say, "What about somebody else from New York or what?" Yeah, they did their thing, but nobody has carried hip hop and kept hip hop going as much as the South. Whether you want to admit it or whether you like it or not, just look at the guys that came out within those times. When Jay-Z and them wasn't dropping, these guys,
yeah,
New York
exactly.
or whatever, wasn't dropping.
Jay-Z used the
Oh,
South.
yeah.
Like on the song Big Pimpin' with UGK, like
Yeah.
that was the big hit because UGK was on there outside of the
Which is
obvious.
Jay-Z's favorite rap group, by the way. He said that's why he's a big UGK fan. He said they are his favorite rap group, so that's why he wanted to do a song with them. So yeah,
Exactly. Jay-Z saw the curve and he
yeah,
was like, all right,
yeah.
yeah,
Because speaking of that, Jay-Z give a lot of love to the South. He had Juvenile on the song. He done
yeah,
songs with Lil Wayne. He done songs with Scarface. Yeah, he been on stuff
yeah.
with Luda. He done stuff with OutKast. So Hove know Nas as well. They both have done a lot of material with the South. So
Cause them niggas knew that they couldn't produce what they needed to produce without the South.
yeah, I think
They knew the South was gonna be on the rise, and they was like, all right.
smart. It's smart business. It made smart business.
Exactly.
And they weren't trying to colonize and use the South. I don't think it was just like smart. Unlike Drake, like Kendrick called them out. You run to Atlanta, just to get, just to use their culture, just to stay on
True.
top, stay relevant.
True.
But like I said, you got to give the South their props. You got to give them their credit. Shout out to Master P, Jay Prince, Cash Money, Birdman, Slim, Lil Wayne, Hot Boys, Manny Fresh, T.I., Luda. Like I said, that Gucci Man and Jeezy, man, what he was doing in the summer of 2025 when that Thug Motivation dropped 101, the Snowman t-shirts was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Chokehold, man.
Everywhere. And the thing about Southern music is that low key, it had great longevity. Again, we're talking about all these amazing artists that you play their songs 20 years later and the shit still go.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like this idea that Southern rappers just make one-hit wonders because that's not the case either.
Sustainable careers as well.
Yes.
So I agree with that. I definitely agree with
So,
that. But yeah, that's our take. That's our opinion.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Do you agree that the South saved hip hop? Agree or disagree? It's all an opinion. That's our opinion. But I hate to say, I know it's an opinion. I might contradict myself, but it's kind of more of a fact. It's kind of leaning to more.
I don't know how you prove it out other than what we're trying to do right now. We pleaded hard for the people to know.
Yeah, we did our exhibit A. We pleaded our case. We laid our case out in front of the jury that the South saved hip hop. And I think if you listen to this conversation, I don't think you can deny it. To be honest, if you listen with an open ear. So yeah, that's our take. But let us know in the comment section what you think. Do you agree or disagree with what we're saying? And everything like that.
Yeah, it would be hard to find anybody who disagrees.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Somebody's going to disagree. Don't worry.
Oh, no, we're going to see.
There's always one. There's always a few.
Always that one nigga.
They don't want
I know we're telling the truth here. Like,
yeah, don't let somebody from New York. If somebody from New York hear this video, they're going to disagree. You can count on it. You can count on it. I guarantee you.
Well, Ice Spice has single-handedly ruined the legacy of all the talk of East Coast being the most lyrical miracles. So
where, man? They've been letting a little bit slip through the cracks.
Yeah, nah. We gotta just keep it real with the people.
Yeah, keep it real. Keep it real. But yeah, that's our take. Let us know in the comment section. What do you think? Do the South save hip hop, South running hip hop, or do the South get enough credit when it comes to their contributions to hip hop? All right, but yeah, that's all we have for this episode. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel on your boy Maurice.
Oh, it's your girl DJ South City.
All right, y'all, we signing off. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. All right,
Peace.
peace.